Yes, people, back in the building for another episode of United State of Mind. And this time, we're going to talk about Wout Weghorst. Now, fresh off his first goal for United in the League Cup semi-final against Nottingham Forest, there's been a lot of chatter about, him not being maybe worthy of playing for Manchester United, him being a cheap option because of the situation with the Glazers and whatnot. And there's a variety of different attackers you can go out there and grab, providing the money's right. But I just wanted to kind of make a video to just kind of break down, why Ten Hag even wanted Wout Weghorst in the first place and what he can probably offer to the team moving forward for the rest of the season. But look, before I do anything, people, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well if you're new, hit that notification bell as well, and hit the socials down below right there on your screen. But look, let's start from the beginning. So obviously United brought in Weghorst, I think about 2 weeks ago. Now he's played 4 games and he's obviously got his first goal. But why did we need it? Why did we need a striker? Why did we bring him in? So I mean, obviously, we've known for a while that we actually are very short in the striker position. Number 11 is no longer part of the squad. Ronaldo had left with his contract being terminated, so we needed a striker to come in and fill the void. Martial, can't be relied upon because of the injuries that he's been suffering over the last couple of years. So we needed to get somebody in. There were a lot of rumors about Joao Felix coming in to the club and whatnot, and it just did not happen, because I think the cost involved in doing the deal and the fact that you don't actually really get anything out of it at the end of it. You're paying a loan fee of, I believe it was 11 million euros to Atletico Madrid, and then you're paying him his wages in full, I believe. That's what Chelsea are doing, and then he goes back to his club after 4 months and there's no obligation to buy or even an option to buy. So that was not a viable option, and I agree with that. You don't need to invest that kind of money into somebody who really has no incentive to perform for your club. You know what I'm saying? It might be best for him to play and get himself back into rhythm, but that's it. So so we needed a striker, and then kind of out of the blue, Wout Weghorst's name was linked, and it seemed like an easy deal for United to go out there and do. Now, is he the most desired name? No, but it's one that I feel like Ten Hag was familiar with. Him probably knowing him from his time in Holland, probably scouted him extensively, at different points as well, just to keep tabs on the player, just because it's his countryman, so he'll be familiar with him. And so that deal was able to be done, paying Besiktas that 3.5 million euros to terminate the loan deal that they had with Burnley, and then approaching Burnley to try and get the loan deal sorted out for the end of the season. And I'm looking at him as a striker, like, I mean, I think initially my thinking was he's an additional option off the bench. He's been starting in games because Martial's injury, and I think that when Martial is back to full fitness, he'll be starting again. But he's an additional option that will be able to come off the bench, and he's going to be there to kind of change the game. Like we already know his height, is going to be a factor in terms of winning the ball in the air, on set plays, and and that's both offensively and defensively too. So having that option there, bolsters our attack with Martial hopefully being able to recover from his injury currently and get back to being at least fully fit for the last 4 months of the season that we've got left. At the end of the day, a loan deal is the smartest thing to do. You don't need to invest. If that's the only option you have available, he's a stopgap option. The real option will become available in the summer window. And for me, when I'm looking at that, I'm saying to myself, that's smart. Like, don't have to, if you're not ready to invest money into somebody, because, we know the ownership situation, generally clubs don't spend money when they're preparing for a sale. That's just the way it works. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, the owners are not going to start sanctioning deals because they're about to leave, so they don't want to, be out of pocket or whatever it is, right? So he's a stopgap option, and potentially he could play his way into getting a longer term deal, a permanent deal with Manchester United. But obviously, understanding the situation, he's just going to be a backup to somebody else. And then in the summer window, we've had enough time to assess all of our options and then go out there and get the striker that we need to get. And obviously, there's a lot of varied opinions on who we should bring in. And I also have my opinion, and I'll share that with you in a later video. And then, yeah, as I mentioned before, with the Glazers, in terms of them not wanting to invest because they are selling the club. So there's no real funds available during this January period to invest in a forward, a striker to come and bolster our squad. Now, this is where it kind of leans towards what I may have said in an earlier video with Ten Hag having to do this job basically with one arm tied behind his back, where he's pressuring the board or the people in the footballing operations to say, look, we need these pieces in order for us to continue the job that I want to do for the rest of the season. The squad is light in areas and maybe a little bit top heavy in other areas. And, I need these things so that we can just continue the process that we're on. And, Ten Hag is currently doing a bit of a miracle job with, not a fit striker and then, a fit main striker, and he's having to bring in a backup, and then he's probably going to have to bring in another backup in midfield or whatnot throughout this window. But, that's just kind of the general reason why Ten Hag decided to bring in, or Ten Hag, the club, decided to bring in Wout Weghorst. Now, let's go a little bit into a bit more detail in regards to what he does on the pitch. Now, I've seen a lot of people already dismiss some of the things that he does on the pitch. Now, in that Arsenal game, the one thing that really stood out to me on that left-hand side, Luke Shaw and Marcus Rashford failed to cross the ball into Wout Weghorst. Now, with his height, his greatest strength will be his aerial ability, and his ability to cause chaos in the box. Obviously he's going to make runs off the ball like all strikers do, but and try and get into certain positions so that he can be available for an opportunity across the ground, for example, or from a through ball. But crossing the ball into the box, which is something that our if our starting wingers are there, if Anthony's on one side and Rashford's on another side, Rashford is looking to try and score, not maybe assist as much. He needs to add that a bit more of that to his game, especially if Wout Weghorst is going to be starting games or being involved in games. And Anthony's also looking to come inside and shoot and try and score himself, and he needs to develop something. If he's too left-footed, then yeah, you can still cross the ball in with your left foot. It's just going to be an in-swinger instead of it being an out-swinger. So he has to be able to implement that a little bit more to his game. The fullbacks also have to go beyond their man in front of them and start crossing the ball. And Luke Shaw's got a great cross on him when he's on it. And, that stood out to me in that Arsenal game where you weren't really looking to find your focal point. He has the ability to get on the end of crosses, and we're not doing that. Maybe that will take some time in terms of, implementing that within training so that then when they find themselves in those situations in games, that can happen when he's on the pitch. But that was just something out of the first few appearances that I've seen where we haven't been really looking to find Wout Weghorst with his greatest strength being his height and therefore his aerial ability. So, there's that on one side. I hope that gets implemented, and when he's there and needs to be used, like his height will be used efficiently so that he'll be on the end of knockdowns. He'll be getting so he'll be going up into the air and knocking the ball down so that others can be brought into play. And then getting on the end of crosses into the box for the attacking side, and obviously making sure that on the defensive side he does his duties as well and helping us to clear the ball out of the box so that we can get rid of a set piece opportunity for the opponent. But like if we just go down into a bit more of the detail, this is probably a reason why Ten Hag would have went in for Wout Weghorst. So, his defensive actions across the last year, for example. Now, he won a tackle 1.06 times per 90 minutes, and that's in the 86th percentile of players in his position in the world. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot, but if we're looking at like some of the interceptions he's making, right? He makes 0.62 interceptions per 90. He's in the 98th percentile of players in his position in the world. So I wish I could really dig a little bit deeper into this, but that already kind of stands out to me that he's a pressing monster. Like, And I know that word has been kind of thrown around, but that's what he really is. Like when you look at those numbers there, um, you can tell that he really is on it. When he's really on it across the ground, he does not let you sleep. Like he will not let you sleep. He will not give you time and space to look for a pass, especially in that forward line, and especially with what Ten Hag is trying to implement. Having a striker who is the focal point and then is also leading the charge in terms of the press, like so that we can win the ball back on the counter press and then wage an attack on the opponent's goal. He's key. He's key to that because of some of the things that he's been able to showcase over the last year. You know, when I look at some of the tackles that he's made in the attacking third, he's made 0.34 tackles per 90 minutes, and he's in the 83rd percentile. So it's pretty high, like where he ranks, like in terms of winning tackles. Do you know what I mean? Like in the final third. So you know, like he's gonna be a very useful tool for us for the rest of the season. And you know, Ten Hag has obviously looked at what he can do and how he can fit into the team. And I think people just need to lay off of him as well. Like he's got his first goal, so for him, he's going to settle down. Um, and I just feel like it's a bit more of an adaptation kind of period for him and the squad to kind of utilize his greatest strength, which I've mentioned before, is his height. But you know, all in all, we all as United fans just want to see any player that comes into the club to do well, and hopefully he can contribute to the club's success this season with some goals as well. So, I mean, look, I'm very much looking forward to see more of him. Got his first goal, so he's settled down, so that's wonderful for him, and hopefully, you know, he contributes a little bit more further down the line as well. But look, I mean, just a bit of a brief kind of breakdown in terms of Wout Weghorst and why Ten Hag wanted him at the club. Um, you know, hopefully, you know, there's gonna be a solution in regards to this striker like full time in the summer. But you know, it's really up to the ownership situation and all of that. So we'll have to kind of look into that in more detail as time moves on. But look, I'm going to end the video here, guys. Give me your comments as well at the end of this video when you finish with it, because I want to hear what people are thinking about Wout Weghorst, because I've heard a lot of people on social media talk about, you know, he's a Burnley striker, he's not worthy to play for the club. What does he actually do when he's on the pitch? You know, but you know, I know for the people that watch United State of Mind, I know you guys are thinking on a bit of a deeper level. So, you know, from what you've seen of him so far, has he kind of met some of the expectations? Are you expecting a little bit more from him? But yeah, leave me your comments below, man. I want to read them and kind of analyze them myself as well. But be back with another video very, very soon. So make sure you stay tuned. Make sure you're hitting that like button, that subscribe button as well if you're new. Hit that notification bell, hit the socials down below, and we are out, people. Peace.